So let's do some Hanukkah crafts. This time it's dreidel crafts, from cookie cutter to creative art. So here we have a number of cookie cutter copycat dreidel crafts. Now for this particular craft that I'm going to show you, I don't have children doing it. This is an interesting type of a craft because it's a very specific type of a thing. There is a dreidel. It needs a certain shape. So you'll see how I treat this. It's part of one of the categories in a course that I run, and let's go straight to it. So what's interesting about doing something like dreidel crafts is that it's a dreidel, and a dreidel is a particular thing. I very often will stay away from trying to transform crafts that I don't think have a way to do it in a creative way. So this particular thing that I'm going to use, I have a program. As of this recording, it's just kind of newly launched. It's called Beyond Copycat Crafts. It's a program that I sell to administrators. There's various courses for teachers. You could check that out at EduArt for Kids, and then there'll be a link that'll take you there to see professional development. But one of the things I teach in there, I teach a creative trio, three different ways of doing art in an early childhood classroom or even early elementary school classroom. And one of the things I teach under the crafts banner is 5 different ways that you can do crafts. There are people that are very process only and they don't do any crafts in early childhood, but I know that there are people that need to do that. So you have 5 different ways to do crafts, and one of them is what I call a template based, where you take a template of something so the kids don't necessarily know that the kids are not necessarily made to make something a certain way, but then they're allowed to do their art on that template. So we can start by making a dreidel template. So I would draw first if I'm doing, okay. And you could do it this way, and then you don't, it doesn't have to be so exact. And then you have what is called a dreidel template. So if you're trying to get the children to do things that are all the same, like if you try to get them to do a dreidel that's all the same, that's very cookie cutter, very copycat. But this is one kind of way around it, where you give them a template and they can do the various activities on. So let's look at some of the things that they can do on this template. They can do a tape collage. Here I have a whole case full of washi tape and all kinds of craft tapes. You give them the template, the dreidel template, and they will make a tape collage right on top of that template. You can do a watercolor resist on top of your template. So here you have a white oil pastel. They can color, make any kind of designs. And then I happen to have some liquid watercolors here that I had used yesterday, so I'm going to show you with that, but you can certainly use these as well. So you paint on top, and yes, I really should be wiping my brush, but just I don't have the water right here. And then you have the watercolor resist on top of their template. So here are 2 ways to use tissue paper. I have non-bleeding tissue paper and I have bleeding tissue paper. This is non-bleeding tissue paper. By the way to tell if something is bleeding or not is to make your finger wet. Whoops, make your finger wet. Okay, that was already done. So make your finger wet and it doesn't come off here. But if you make your finger wet again, and this is bleeding tissue paper, you can see that it comes off. That's the way to tell if it's bleeding or non-bleeding. So here I would just, this is just on one side. We have the non-bleeding tissue paper. I would use glue with a brush. Make sure you wash the brush very well. And then you could layer the tissue paper on top. It's transparent and it looks very beautiful. But on the other hand, if you want to just use the dyeing method, then you just put the bleeding tissue paper and you put it all over and you paint it. Then you have a dyed template. So here you have either the tissue paper that's non-bleeding as a collage on here, or else the dyed bleeding tissue paper. Of course, you can do any number of things on top of this. You can color, you can do a regular collage, you can do just a regular painting activity as well. There are many different things you can do on top of it as a template. Maybe they can even do a number of activities on small ones like this, and then arrange them on a big paper, like do tissue paper on one, and then do the oil pastel resist on another, and collage on another, and then place them on like a big black background, and that would be really gorgeous as a just a display of a gallery of different dreidels. Okay, now I want to show you another interesting idea. So another activity to do, which I find that kids really like, and I actually learned about it from another art teacher when I was teaching years ago. It's using templates, but it's using a variety of sizes of dreidel templates. So you would just draw, it could be rounded ones. Now, if you want to make them really even, I guess you can fold them, but I'm just trying to show you how we're going to have a couple of these. Let's see, that would be we'll do it over here. A couple of these larger templates. So you have to have a whole bunch of these because they get ruined. And I find that I'm going to show you the technique. And I used to try to do it with other objects like menorahs, but it doesn't really work because you need to have a very large space, and the menorahs have small spaces that you have to do in with it. But if you do, you can definitely do it with other objects. This is just, I had seen it, it's with a dreidel, so I'm going to show you how it works. So what you do is you take, I'm using this so the oil pastels don't get on the table or on the background surface, and you need to use oil pastels with this. And what they do, this is a chalk pastel. What they do is they color the edges all around of these dreidels. Okay, I'm gonna just do one whole thing so you'll see how it looks. Of course, you can do one color. Okay, so now once you have this whole thing colored, the edges, then you take another paper, and you take this colored one, and you take your finger, and you go like this, and as you can see already, there's like a halo comes around it. And what I have found is that it's a lot of creativity in terms of some of the children. They will take a smaller one, they'll do it inside, they'll add it all over the place. So you're using a template, but there's really a lot of creativity that you can use with this particular activity as well. For my free mini course, go to eduartforkids.com, and for my new program, eduartforkids.com/beyond.